Hello everyone, welcome to free crash course for competitive exams held by Virat Hindustan Sangam in association with Manifest IAS Bengaluru. This program is inspired by Dr. Subramaniam Swamy, Subramaniam Swamy MP, Rajya Sabha, and is convened by Sri Ravi Shankar Sir, State Education Convener for VH. So I'm the chief mentor of your program. I've been mentoring competitive service aspirants for the past 5 years. So we are dealing with the environmental section, and the chief source for your environment is environment book by either Shankar IAS or PMF IAS. So these are the best books. If possible, go for PMF IAS, or you can also catch hold of the Shankar IAS. I'll be teaching from Shankar IAS book. Right, so you can watch this program online on the YouTube channel of Virat Hindustan Sangam, and for further any queries guidance you can join our Telegram channel VHS Education Forum. This is our Telegram channel. So in the earlier class we were talking about the energy conservation building code. So how green buildings are designed, so what are the green buildings, so what should be there, HVAC, so that is heating, ventilation and air conditioning, how it should be there, and what are the necessities for a green building. All these things we discussed in our earlier class. So today, continuing with the same thing, we are going to discuss with one more rating called as, one more standard called as Griha rating. So Griha, with respect to, it is also green building, green rating for a house. So if there is a building, how green the building is, that is given by the Griha rating. So this rating was developed by one organization called TERI, TERI, the Energy and Resource Institute. So this is one of the think tanks with respect to energy. So this has developed the Griha rating. So Griha rating is with respect to the how green the building is. So TERI organization along with the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, there is a separate ministry. These two organizations develop the Griha rating. So what is the objective of this? Objective of the Griha rating means, so it is to design green buildings. So you design the green buildings which are eco-friendly, environmentally friendly, right? So you design the building, so if it gives lot of heat, if it is lot of sewage, right? So lot of poisonous gases, it will be actually harmful for the environment. So this Griha rating aims to counteract that. So it aims to build the green building. So also it aims to use aims towards efficient resource utilization. In construction of the building, there should be proper resource utilization. So there should be no wastage of the resources. That is also given by the Griha rating. So Griha rating, so thing is, it is a rating tool. So it gives a nationally accepted benchmark. That is, there will be a standard. So they will assess your building based on this standard. If it matches the standard, they are going to give you the rating that this building is Griha certified. So then that the value of that building will be higher. So commercial value will increase, right? So it measures energy consumption by the building, how much renewable energy is there, how much waste is generated by the building. All these things is measured by the Griha rating, right? So this rating actually, it is this rating gets measured every 3 years. So every 3 years continuously they are going to measure the Griha rating. So whether are you Griha compliant or you are not Griha compliant, that is measured every 3 years. So this basically it is done for the new buildings. Old buildings they don't do it. It is basically for the new buildings, right? So there are 34 criteria for a building to be certified as a Griha building. There are totally 34 criteria and under 4 categories. So what are the 4 categories? One is site planning. The site planning, whether it is environment friendly. So whether the site is in an environmentally friendly place, that is one thing. And efficient utilization of resources, I told you. So whatever the bricks, sand, everything, are they efficiently utilized in the construction of the building, and how the building is operated. So whether it is operated in an environmentally friendly manner, that is also taken into care. And also, so these are the a few of the criterions based on which they are going to give your house a Griha rating, right? So based on these criterions, right? So they give 5 stars for the building based on the Griha rating. They give 5 stars. So if your building is completely environmentally friendly, your building is going to get 5 stars, or else it is going to get less number of stars. So what is the benefit of this Griha rating? Andre, one is it is going to reduce the emissions from the building. So greenhouse gas emissions will be reduced, and also the commercial value of the buildings is going to increase. So especially nowadays, if your people are looking for a more and more environmentally friendly options, right? Whether it is consuming food, whether it is travel, whether it is housing, whether it is even the clothes or the gadgets, they are looking for more and more environmentally friendly options. So a green rating is going to aid that, right? It is going to aid that. So what are the challenges with respect to Griha rating? So there are a lot of benefits with respect to Griha rating. So there are also equally some challenges. So what is the challenges? There is no awareness about with the people. People do not know what is Griha rating. And also the availability of materials. So green materials are very costly to build. That is there. Then there is this slum area, so there is lot of perpetuation of slum area. So even if you build Griha buildings, 1 or 2, equal number of slums or even more number of slums will be there, right? And the builders, that is the construction people, they are not willing to adapt the Griha rating because it is going to increase the cost of construction. So all these are the drawbacks or the challenges, rather than drawbacks, the challenges with respect to Griha ratings, right? So this is all about the green buildings, construction of the green buildings, right? Environmentally friendly buildings. So next we are going to move towards environmentally friendly industries. How industries can be made environmentally friendly. So with respect to industries being made environmentally friendly, we can there is energy audits can be conducted. Energy audit andre, so every year some auditors is going to come, how much energy is this industry using? So is it using renewable energy, or is it using the fossil fuel energy? So how it can be made more energy efficient? So all these things are given by the auditors, right? So this is done for the this is actually done for the big industries by certified energy managers. Who is, so auditors are there, certified auditors are going to come with and do the certification. So this is about the audit of the energy consumption by the industries. Next, you are going to look towards another sector, that is mass transport. What do you mean by mass transport? What is mass transport? Public transport, that is your bus, your metro, all those things are mass transport, right? So with respect to mass transport, how can it be made greener, right? So is the Bangalore metro greener, or is it consuming fossil fuel? It is a green option, right? Greener option, right? So with respect to this, we have National Urban Transport Policy. This policy aims to make the transport greener, National Urban Transport Policy. And regarding this, we have the metro rail, and also maglev vehicles are also proposed. So in Delhi, we have this hydrogen CNG buses are there, right? CNG buses are there. Even in Bengaluru, they have proposed. But are we using any CNG buses in Bengaluru? BMTC is using? Once cross check. Okay. So that is about the mass transport has to be made more and more greener. So that is the most important thing, right? Making the mass transport more and more greener. Then clean air initiative. So in order to apart from the mass transport, what are the initiatives by the government to clean the air? So I have spoken about many acts. So many acts have spoken, the Air Act of 1982 and Suffer Index, Air Quality Index, and many National Air Quality Index, right? So many National Air Quality Management Program, everything I have spoken about in earlier classes. So with respect to clean air initiatives, mass transport, what they are doing is, one is CNG buses in the Delhi and another is, so they are not allowing the diesel vehicles more than 10 years in the Delhi region, right? They won't allow. And even if the pollution is in the severe category, they are going to stop all the diesel vehicles. They are going to implement the odd even scheme. That is also they are doing. And also there is graded environmental response plan, according to which the mass transport will be tamed with respect according to the pollution levels in the Delhi region. And you have they are not, so after 15 years the vehicle fitness certificate FC, right? So that is not being given for the old and polluting vehicles. And also government is promoting the renewable energy, right? That is electric vehicles it is promoting. So if you scrap your old vehicle, you are going to get some concession under the RTO tax, also subsidized loan, subsidy on your new electric vehicle, all those things you are going to get, right? So that is about the mass transport. Next, I am going to talk about certain initiatives, energy saving devices. So, lot of energy saving devices we have. So, Bureau of Energy Efficiency has got this program called as the Bachat Lamp Yojana. What is Bachat Lamp Yojana? So, it aims to change the incandescent bulbs, that is the yellow bulbs, traditional yellow bulbs, with CFLs, composite, what is it? Compact fluorescent lamps. CFLs it aims to change into, right? So this is actually under the CDM mechanism, Clean Development Mechanism under the Kyoto Protocol. I'm going to discuss what is the Clean Development Mechanism, which is very important, right? So also some states with respect to the initiatives, smart devices, some states have made solar panels to be mandatory on hospitals and government buildings. Solar panels have to be installed mandatory. I think they had done it in Tamil Nadu. So some states have done that. If you are constructing house, you have to mandatorily have solar panels or something like that. They have done, right? So that is with respect to the certain smart devices or energy efficient devices. Next, I am going to focus on biofuels. Biofuels, how they are important, right? So we have this biodiesel purchase policy. There is a biodiesel purchase policy. Biodiesel, see, it is not completely biofuel which you are using to run the vehicle. So it is called as ethanol blending. Ethanol blending, 80% of diesel, 20% of ethanol. You are going to, where does the ethanol come from? From the bagasse or the sugar industry, right? Biofuel, right? So also from the Jethropa, those kind of Phosphorus, Julifera, those kind of plants also the biodiesel can be extracted. Even your vegetable oil seeds can be, ethanol can be extracted, right? So we have a biodiesel purchasing policy, and according to which they say that 2003 only 5% blending of ethanol. Now it has been increased up to 20%, I think. 20% of blending of ethanol by 2030, I think. 20% blending with the diesel for the diesel vehicles, right? So that is the biofuel. Then we have Indian National Solar Loan Program. So what is Solar Loan Program? It means providing finance to purchase solar devices. This is National Solar Loan Program, is not by the government, it is by United Nations Environment Program, UNEP. As so they are going to ask you, so which organization has started the National Solar Loan Program? It is UNEP. UNEP has started the National Solar Loan Program. So they are partnered with the Canara Bank and other banks to provide this solar loan. So they provide not only the money but also technical assistance and other things, right, for the solar energy. So next I am going to talk about very important concept, NICRA, N-I-C-R-A. What is NICRA? It is National Initiative on Climate Resilient Agriculture. So I told you in the yesterday's class there is a national mission on sustainable agriculture, right? So this is National Initiative on Climate Resilient Agriculture. Means what climate resilient means? So you know that there is climate change. Climate change is happening, global warming is happening, greenhouse gases are being emitted, right? So this agriculture should get adapted to climate change. That is National Initiative for climate resilient. Even though the climate changes, our agriculture will remain strong, resilient or strong in face of the changes. That is the National Initiative for Climate Resilient Agriculture, NICRA. So which organization has started NICRA? It is ICAR, Indian Council for Agricultural Research. This has started the NICRA program, right? So it has, it covers, so what is the objective of this? The objective is to increase the resilience of Indian agriculture. As I told you, not agriculture means crops, livestock, fisheries, every sector, not only the agriculture. So it has got 4 components. NICRA has got 4 components under it. So what are the 4 components? First is research. Research on what? Adaptation and mitigation. I have told you what is adaptation, what is mitigation. So that is, research is the first thing. The second is technology demonstration. Andre, the crops have to get adjusted to climate change. So if they have to get adjusted, we have to implement technology in the crops. Agriculturally, we have to implement the technology. So technology adaptation is the second thing. And third is grants, andre financial assistance for developing drought resistant varieties. So drought resisting varieties, what do you mean by drought resistant varieties? There are certain crops which can grow even if there is drought. That is drought resistant varieties. So that is what this aims to do. So Atara crops ke NICRA is going to give financial assistance. That is the third thing. And fourth thing is capacity building. That is farmers, government, everyone should be, everyone would be made stronger. Their capacity would be increased so that they get adapted to climate change. So strategic research on which areas they are doing the research. Horticulture. What is horticulture? Vegetables and fruits. Horticulture is vegetables and fruits, crops, livestock, fisheries, all these areas they are doing the research. Certain specific crops they are focusing on: rice, maize and other crops. Rice, maize, groundnut, tomato, all those things. All those things they won't ask. What are the major research themes? Vulnerability assessment. Andre, if the climate is going to change, how much it is going to impact the crops. That is the first thing they are researching, and also linking the weather and agro advisories. Andre, so I told you the government is going to give timely weather advisories to the farmers. So if you are growing a crop, grow it based on the weather advisories or agro advisories, based on the soil moisture, based on the monsoon pattern. So if you just sow the crop, it is going to fail. So you have to grow it scientifically. That is what this NICRA is going to focus upon. Also it focuses upon monitoring of greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases, how much it is being emitted, right? And also it studies the pest dynamics, how pests are affecting the crops. So if with the climate change, new pest varieties are going to emerge. So how the crops, apart from being resilient to climate, how it is going to be resilient to pest. That is also the research is going on. And also livestock, research on livestock, fisheries, right? So there are multiple research institutions involved. ICAR, multiple research institutions have involved in this. So they are focusing on rainwater harvesting, drought management strategies and various other things, right? So they are focusing on majorly on small and marginal farmers. I told you small and marginal farmers constitute 86% of our farmers. So NICRA focuses majorly on the small and marginal farmers. NICRA narthaita, it is basically climate resilient agriculture. So it is done by this organization ICAR. So the investment is 350 crore. So it has got 4 components. This is all about the NICRA, right? So this is NICRA. Next I am going to talk about the climate financing. Climate financing again. So we have see, in the stock exchanges what they trade, they are going to trade the shares, right? Shares of various companies. So now there is a concept emerging concept of trading in climate products. So this is there is one index called B. So what is the index of BSE, Bombay Stock Exchange? What is the index of BSE? What is the index of Nifty? I mean ನಾನೇ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ನಿಫ್ಟಿ, I mean National Stock Exchange is Nifty 50. BSE ಗೆ Sensex alva pa, Sensex is falling down. So Sensex, like that we have a Bombay Stock Exchange Greenex index ide. So what is this Greenex? So it is about the carbon performance of the industries, how good the industries are with respect to renewable energy, or how good are they, and how are they environmental friendly. That is BSE Greenex. So it is a market based mechanism. Andre, so carbon performance. So alli what they do, companies are going to reduce their carbon production and trade the carbon production, right? I have told you in earlier class, carbon credit. So one company is going to reduce its carbon and trade it to another company. That is, that trade is going to take place on BSE Greenex, right? So it includes 20 companies, top 20 companies which are good in terms of carbon emissions. 20 companies which are good in carbon emissions. These 20 companies are involved, right? So this index is rebalanced on biannual basis, and every 2 years the stock of these companies are rebalanced. 20 companies. So some companies which have become redundant, it would be removed and new companies are going to get added. So this is with respect to BSE Greenex. So now I am going to talk one important fact. So all these are facts which are I am giving you. So one important environmental fact is there is program called FAME India program, even though we have now moved towards FAME 2.0. So what is FAME India program? FAME andre faster adoption of electrical mobility, faster adoption of manufacturing and faster adoption and manufacturing of electric vehicles. So this scheme is very, very important. FAME scheme, faster adoption and manufacturing of electric vehicles. So this was started in 2015, first scheme, FAME 1.0. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ most probable question, what is the probable question ಅಂದ್ರೆ, under which ministry is FAME India? FAME India program is under Ministry of Heavy Industries and Public Enterprises. That is the ministry under which FAME India program is being carried out, right? So what is the program all about? It is use of electric and hybrid vehicles. What do you mean by hybrid vehicles? Are they same as electric vehicles? What is hybrid vehicle then? Hybrid is mix of two fuels. So suppose you know, right, some Omni cars, they have gas also, they have petrol also. That is hybrid, right? But electric cars, I don't think they are hybrid. They are purely electric. I haven't seen any electric car with. Okay. So they provide, under this FAME India, they provide 30% subsidy for manufacturing of electric vehicles, right? So this is about the FAME India program. Now we are moving towards FAME 2.0. Since 2019-2020, there is a new program called FAME 2.0, that is faster adoption of mobility in electric vehicles. Manufacturing of electric vehicles 2.0 is being carried out, right? That is a new program. Next fact I am going to talk about is long-term ecological observatories. So what is long-term ecological observatory? The name itself suggests it is a observatory of environment. It observes the environmental parameters over a long term, right? So this comes under this long-term environmental ecological observatory comes under Climate Change Action Program. Climate Change Action Program. This is a program by India, Climate Change Action Program. So long-term ecological observatory is also implemented in India, right? So the first phase, there are multiple phases under this program. The first phase, it concentrates 8 different biomes, Himalayas, Western Ghats, so on and so forth, 8 biomes. This long-term ecological observatory is going to focus on it. At 8 different places, it is going to gather the data, environmental data, right? So what does it gather andre biophysical and anthropological drivers of climate change andre natural causes of climate change and human causes of climate change it is going to measure, right? So it is a network of scientific institutions. This long-term ecological observatory, it is who are involved, and it is scientific institutes are involved. They are going to measure the change, right? So they focus on freshwater birds, freshwater fishes, birds, mammals. So what are the changes with respect to these species? They are going to focus upon. So that is about the long-term ecological observatory. And the next fact I'm going to give you is National Adaptation Fund for Climate Change. This fund is very, very important. So we have internationally adaptation program is there. So there is an international adaptation fund. I'm going to talk about in some time. So similarly, we have a adaptation fund for climate change within India also. This adaptation fund, it was started in 2015-16, NAFCC, National Adaptation Fund for Climate Change, started in 2015-16. It is a center sector scheme. Central sector scheme, what do you mean by central sector scheme? Completely funded by the central government. Centrally sponsored scheme andre share between center and state. So this National Adaptation Fund for Climate Change is a central sector scheme, very, very important. Please remember. So this fund is under NABARD. NABARD is the National Implementing Agency for NABARD, National Agricultural Bank and National Bank of Agriculture and Rural Development, right? So this bank is the National Implementing Agency for this NAFCC, right? So it focuses on various sectors: agriculture, animal husbandry, forestry, and various other things, right? So next fact I'm going to talk about is next initiative by India is India's cooling action plan. So cooling action plan andre the average temperature of India, I told you, it has increased by 0.4 degrees Celsius. So this, according to cooling action plan, we are proposing to reduce the temperature. So this mainly focuses upon reducing the cooling demand. Cooling demand andre, see, we are using air refrigerators, air conditioners, everything. So these devices consume lot of electricity. So this program aims to reduce the consumption of electricity for cooling purposes, right? Cooling purposes ke electricity is going to reduce, right? So what they do, so enhance the energy efficiency andre cooling devices ge, that is air conditioners, refrigerators, so their energy consumption has to be reduced, right? That is one thing. And also we have to change the environment in such a way that, so we have to reduce the emissions in such a way that nature itself becomes comfortable. Nature itself will start cooling itself rather than we depending on refrigerators and air conditioners, right? So this India's national cooling plan, cooling action plan, there are certain goals. What are the goals andre? To reduce the cooling demand across sectors by 25%, and the air conditioner, refrigerator, that is cooling demand, we have to reduce by 25% by 2037. That is the first goal. Reduce refrigeration demand by 25% to 30% by the 2037, and also cooling energy requirement. So energy which goes towards cooling, that has to be reduced by 40% by 2037. These are the goals. Basically it speaks about reducing the cooling demand, right? So in this direction they have certified certain technicians, approximately 10,000 1 lakh technicians have been certified under Skill India Mission. So there is Skill India Mission, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. So Skill India Mission started in 2015. So under which they have certified 1 lakh workers or 1 lakh technicians under India Cooling Action Plan to reduce the cooling demand. So what are the benefits? What are the benefits of this program? Andre thermal comfort for all. Thermal comfort andre we have to live in a thermally comfortable zone with reduction in energy demand. That is the first benefit. Second is sustainable cooling. Andre we focus on cooling, but it has to be sustainable. So just because we want cooling, we should not use the air conditioner disproportionately. We have to use it in a limited way. So there was a proposal few years ago that to set the standard temperature of air conditioners at 24 degrees Celsius, right? We would not be able to reduce it also. We would not be able to increase it also. So this proposal was there, but later on it was removed. It did not manifest. It did not get manifested, right? So this cooling action plan focuses on skilling the workforce. That is the one benefit. That is 1 lakh technicians are skilled. Then focuses on make in India. These cooling devices have to be made in India. That is also one of the goal, and also it focuses on research and development, right, to reduce the cooling. So this is all about India cooling action plan. This is one of the initiative. Next, I'm going to talk about forest landscape restoration and bond challenge. Bond challenge. This is a very important one. Forest landscape restoration means what? The forest area. The forest area. Forest landscape restoration. Andre forest area will be restored. So this restoration of the forest area, it is called as Bonn challenge. BONN. Where is Bonn? Which country is Bonn? Bonn is there. Is it Germany or Switzerland? There is a Bonn Convention on migratory species. So Bonn is in Germany. This country, please remember, Bonn is in Germany, right? So this Bonn challenge, it was launched by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change along with IUCN, International Union for Conservation for Nature. So what does it focus on? To adapt the best practices to save the forest. So they have implemented certain schemes, pilot schemes. What is a pilot scheme? Pilot scheme is trial basis. On trial basis, if they want to introduce, it's a scheme before being implemented on a full-fledged scale. On trial basis, they are going to introduce in some places, that is pilot scheme. So this was introduced on pilot basis in certain places, right? So this Bonn challenge aims to bring 150 million hectares of deforested area. So it aims to rebuild or afforestation, carry out reforestation or afforestation in 150 million hectares, right? So this is called as a Bonn pledge or a Bonn challenge to carry out afforestation. So Bonn challenge as a bandre, please remember it is about afforestation of 150 million hectares of forest, right? So this whatever we have pledged, that is India has pledged a lot. So India's pledge is one of the largest pledge. India's pledge is so we have pledged 150 million hectares. So globally 150 million hectares. In that 150 million hectares, the India's pledge is the highest in Asia. Dali India pledge is the highest. So this is about Bonn challenge. Certain facts I am going to give you. I am not going to go in detail of Bonn challenge because it is not going to be of help. So if Bonn challenge anta bandre, you should be knowing what is Bonn challenge, right? It is about afforestation anta you should be knowing, right? So this is all about the India's initiatives with respect to climate change. These are the initiatives. So next I am going to talk about international organizations, that is climate change organizations. So this concept, whatever the chapter I am going to talk about, is very, very important. Climate change organizations, right? So the first climate change organization or the convention is UNFCCC. So full form is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. When was it signed? Signed in 1992. Rio Summit or Earth Summit, also called as United Nations Summit Conference on Environment and Development. United Nations Summit Conference on Environment and Development, very important, 1992, right? So it happens in Rio de Janeiro, right, in 1992. It is a multilateral legal instrument, means many countries have signed this agreement. So what is the aim of this UNFCCC? To reduce the climate change. That is the main aim. That is the temperature, global average temperature have to be reduced, right? So now there are 195 parties to this convention globally. It has got almost universal subscription. Andre almost all countries are part of this UNFCCC. So which organization coordinates the work of UNFCCC? Andre there is a UNFCCC secretariat. There is a UNFCCC secretariat. Andre secretariat andre office of the UNFCCC, right? So this secretariat helps the conference of parties, conference of parties. So every year under the UNFCCC, they are meeting. These countries are meeting, called as conference of parties. So last conference of party in Glasgow, UK, COP26 under UNFCCC, right? So that is facilitated by the UN Secretariat. So what they do, they carry out negotiations to reduce the climate change. So also they focus on adaptation and mitigation. Focus is on adaptation and mitigation, right? So now I am going to, first I have told about UNFCCC. Now what I am going to do is, starting from 1988 till 2020, what has been the environmental policy in the world? How environmental, see when we talk about the trade policy, we have to go back to 1948 GATT, General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs. So GATT got converted into World Trade Organization in which year? 1995. But when we have to trace the environmental policy, we have to go back to 1972 Stockholm Summit. But I am going to begin from 1988. So 1988 what happens andre, there was a intergovernmental panel on climate change. I am going to discuss this. IPCC was established. So that was in 1988. 1990 IPCC, it gives out lot of reports, assessment reports and special reports, right? So 1990 the first assessment report was released. Then thus World Climate Conference was took place. 1990 World Climate Conference took place in 1990. Then 1992, what happened? Rio de Janeiro. Where is Rio de Janeiro? Brazil or Argentina? Brazil. So this takes place in Rio de Janeiro. Earth Summit, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC happens. Also Convention on Biodiversity, Biological Diversity also happens there. Also the UN Convention against Desertification and Land Degradation also takes place in 1992. Three major things happens in 1992. Very important, right? So next 1994 UNFCCC is going to come into force. It gets it starts working, right? It takes into it is being implemented across the world in 1994, right? So then 1995 first COP takes place. So now we are in COP26. 1995 first COP takes place. Where does it take place? In Germany. Germany it is going to take place, right? So there they give a mandate called Berlin Mandate. Berlin Mandate, what they say, whatever UNFCCC you have done, Nothing is working. Because even a triple C is not mandatory. So they focus on Kyoto Protocol here, right? So they lay the foundation for Kyoto Protocol. Where is Kyoto? Is it a place? What is Kyoto? It's a place in Japan, right? We have a Kyoto Protocol, very, very important. I'm going to discuss what is Kyoto Protocol, right? Then 1997 Kyoto Protocol was adapted. The year is important, 1997. So it is the first greenhouse gas emission reduction treaty. First binding treaty, right? Greenhouse gas emission, first treaty. Then 2001 Marrakesh Accords took place. Marrakesh Accords. So we have Marrakesh with respect to World Trade Organization. What is it about Marrakesh? 1994. So there is a Marrakesh Treaty. So Marrakesh Treaty admelene World Trade Organization comes into picture, right? So here also in 2001 Marrakesh Accords. Where is Marrakesh? Even I forgot. Where is Marrakesh? So this is what they are going to ask you. They are not going to ask you what is Marrakesh Treaty and all those things. Where is Marrakesh? They will ask. It is in Morocco. Where is Morocco? Huh? That is how you have to study up for the competitive exams. Morocco. Northwest of Africa. Moroccan coast. Right? The internet is there. I'll show you the. Okay. So this Marrakesh Accord takes place there. They focus on ratification of Kyoto Protocol. 1997 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಬರುತ್ತೆ, but ratification ಆಗಿರಲ್ಲ. Signing is not happening. Signing has not happened, right? They focus on ratification. Then in 2005, European Union Emission Trading Scheme comes into picture. That is the first largest trading scheme. First largest emission trading scheme. European Union Emission Trading Scheme comes into picture in 2005. Also Kyoto Protocol comes into force in 2005. 1997 start agiddu. Signing takes place somewhere around 2001, Marrakesh Accords, but comes into force in 2005, right? Then in 2006 they focus on clean development mechanism under Kyoto Protocol. I'm going to tell you what is clean development mechanism. Also in 2006 they focus on Nairobi work program. Ante what is Nairobi work program? It is with respect to climate only, not very important, right? 2007 very important. The Bali conference takes place, 13th COP Bali conference. So there they have Bali action plan, Bali roadmap, all those things. I'm going to discuss all those things. In 2008 under Kyoto Protocol they start joint implementation. What is joint implementation? I'm going to tell you. Just remember 2008 ಅಲ್ಲಿ start ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So 2008 ಅಲ್ಲಿ one more incident takes place, Adaptation Fund. I told you we have National Adaptation Fund for Climate Change, right, in India, which is the ministry NAFCCC. So that takes place, that is there in India, National Adaptation Fund for Climate Change. Adhe riti we have Adaptation Fund under the Kyoto Protocol. This Adaptation Fund takes place in 2008, right? So then apart from that you have what happens later on. So I told you NABARD, even I forgot, it is NABARD, which is the implementing agency for National Adaptation Fund for Climate Change, right? So then what happens? 2009 ali Copenhagen conference takes place. Copenhagen Accord, ali fast start finance anta they are going to give. What is fast start finance? I am going to discuss. 2010 Cancun Summit takes place. There what they say, they launch a Cancun Adaptation Framework. I am going to discuss all these things. So, they Cancun Summit they force the developed countries to support developing countries to reduce the climate change, right? Assist the developing countries. Also, the Green Climate Fund. There is a fund called Green Climate Fund that was established in 2010. Very important year. Clean Climate Fund was established in 2010, right? So then what happens in 2012? 2012 ಅಲ್ಲಿ this Kyoto Protocol first commitment period ends. That is from 2005 to 2012. First period of Kyoto Protocol ends. Then they bring an amendment called Doha Amendment and extend the second commitment period from 2013 to 2020. Right? According to Doha Amendment. Doha Amendment, Kyoto Protocol is extended in 2012. In 2013, there is the RED program, REDD. This is with respect to deforestation. I am going to discuss it in detail. Also, there is a Warsaw Pact on loss and damage. Loss and damage, I am going to discuss all that in detail. But please remember, Warsaw Summit happens in 2013, right? Then 2014 only the summit happens in Peru, Lima, right? Where is the Peru? Which continent? South America. South America, right? So then in 2015, very important, what happens in 2015? Paris Climate Deal, very important. That happens in 2015, right? So the 195 nations come together and they agree to the Paris Climate Agreement. Then in 2016, there is a Marrakesh Climate Conference. Marrakesh in Morocco. There is a Marrakesh Climate Conference in 2016. Then in 2017, there is a COPs. Every year, Conference of Parties is taking place continuously. What is speciality about the year 2017? Andre, for the first time, a small island developing country, small island nation, presided over the COP. Fiji. Where is Fiji? Which ocean is it in? Pacific Ocean. Fiji is in Pacific Ocean. Fiji has got lot of Indian expatriates. And the Indian origin people are there in Fiji, right? So small island developing states, Fiji presides over the COP. They launched a dialogue called Talona Dialogue. I'm going to discuss what is Talona Dialogue. TALANOA, Talona Dialogue. That is, what is this dialogue? Andre, to enhance or increase the climate action. Andre, climate we are working towards climate change or reducing the climate change. Increase the targets or fasten the work. That is about the Talona Dialogue, right? Also 2017, this question I was asked in one of the tests, I remember. 2017, there is a summit happening in Paris called One Planet Summit. One Planet Summit takes place in 2017. Please remember, this is about financial commitments. Financial commitments. One Planet Summit, and the developed countries have to give money to the developing countries to reduce the climate change. That is the financial commitment. Then 2018, there is a IPCC report. IPCC report on global to reduce the global warming by 1 to 1.5 degrees Celsius. So Paris climate aims to reduce or limit the global warming to 2 degrees Celsius. But IPCC report in 2018 says that we have to reduce it to 1.5 degrees Celsius. To now it is 25 degrees Celsius. We have to limit it to 26.5 degrees Celsius. Within 1.5 degree, we have to lock the temperature rise or global warming, right? So this is about the IPCC report, right? 1.5 degrees Celsius goal report. Then in 2018, same year, there is a in Poland climate, they gave an agreement called Katowice Climate Package. So this is a package to operationalize the Paris climate deal. Andre Paris climate deal is just a deal that has to be put into operation. Put into reality. Implementation should take place. So that is taken place under the Katowice climate package. Katowice, where is Katowice? I think it is in Poland. Let me check. Katowice climate package to Paris climate deal, Paris climate agreement. Yeah, it is in Poland. So COP took place in Poland ansute. So there is a Katowice climate package, right? So then in 2019, what happened? The UNSG, UN Secretary General Climate Action Summit in New York. Climate Action Summit takes place in New York, 2019. The year is important. So UN Secretary General hosts this Climate Action Summit in 2019 in New York. After that, COVID took place and the COP26 was postponed and it took place last year. COP26. I told you India's five goals, right? So we are aiming to go net zero by 2070, right? So that is called as Panchamrita. 5 aims we have, right? To reduce or to sequester 1 billion ton of carbon dioxide by 2030, to increase the renewable energy by 500 gigawatt, also to increase the renewable energy share to 50% of total energy share. All these things are the goal under Panchamrita of COP26, right? So now I am going to talk about very, very important concept, Kyoto Protocol. Write down the heading, Kyoto Protocol, 1997 in COP3, Conference of Parties 3, right? So I told you COP1 in the Berlin mandate, they realized that UNFCCC is not sufficient. We need to have a proper binding agreement. See, UNFCCC is not binding. They just signed a convention. Nobody is going to ask the countries to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. But Kyoto Protocol is binding. Andre, you have to reduce or else penalty will be imposed upon you, right? So it happens in Kyoto Protocol was adopted in 1997. I told you in Kyoto in Japan, right? So it entered into force in 2005. That is the year. So this operationalizes the convention. UNFCCC. It is just a convention. What operationalizes it? Andre Kyoto Protocol. Andre Kyoto Protocol puts the convention into functioning. Just like how Katowice climate package puts the Paris climate deal into functioning. Similarly, Kyoto Protocol puts the UNFCCC into functioning, right? So this gives targets to the developed countries. Developed countries, it is going to give the target. What is the target? So it sets a binding emission reduction target for 37 industrialized countries. Andre 37 industrialized countries have to reduce their emissions. Binding commitment for 37 industrialized countries, right? So this applies only to the developed countries. Kyoto Protocol applies only to the developed countries, not to the developing countries. Why only developed countries? What is the reason? I told you in yesterday's class, they were the people who are largely responsible for the greenhouse gas emissions since the Industrial Revolution, right? So that is why it binds only the developed countries, right? So under this we have a principle of equity. Equity is a common but differentiated responsibility. I told you yesterday. CBDR, common but differentiated responsibility. So developed countries have increased responsibility. Developing countries do not have much responsibility. So what they say, you have to reduce the emissions by average 5% by the year 2012. Or between 2008 and 2012, you have to reduce the emissions by 5% of what was there in 1990. Andre, in 1990, if the emissions of developed country, the 37 countries was, let's say 100% emission, by between 2008 and 12, they have to reduce it to by 5%, andre to 95% of what was there in 1990. This was the target, but India's target is much better. Yeah, we have aimed to reduce how much? 35% now. 35% by 2030. New goal, right? India's target is much better. Okay. So what is special about the Kyoto Protocol? What is the architecture of Kyoto Protocol? Andre, there is reporting and verification procedure. Andre, if USA says that we have reduced 5%, but they report to the secretariat that we have reduced by 5%, but it will be verified. Other countries are going to go and verify whether USA has really reduced it, right? That is one thing. And also under this, there is flexible market mechanism. This is very important. I'm going to discuss. So there are 3 flexible market mechanisms. All these things I'm going to discuss. Then there is a compliance system. Compliance andre, it is binding. Kyoto Protocol is binding, legally binding. So under this we have emission reduction commitment. I told you what is the commitment. So the carbon dioxide will become a new commodity. Emission, they reduce the carbon dioxide and sell it. And they sell it under what? So they sell it under the flexible market mechanism. What is a flexible market mechanism? Andre, trading of the carbon. Carbon will be traded among the countries, right? They trade it via what? They trade it via emission permit. I'm going to discuss all the emission permits now. So what are the mechanisms? Market-based mechanisms. So the first is joint implementation. Second is clean development mechanism. Third is emission trading. These are the 3 market-based mechanisms. 3 market-based mechanisms are there under the Kyoto Protocol. So before going into the 3 market-based mechanisms, I'm going to discuss the objectives of Kyoto Protocol. What is the aim of the Kyoto Protocol? So one is to promote sustainable development. So you know what is sustainable development? That is the goal. And also removing carbon from the atmosphere. That is the second goal. And third is encourage private sector participation or public participation in reduction of the greenhouse gases. So the first market-based mechanism is joint implementation. Very important. JI. So what is joint implementation? So under joint implementation, so let's say there is a country with the emission reduction target. So obviously it is a developed country because only developed countries have targets of reduction under Kyoto Protocol. So these developed countries are called as Annex B countries. ANNEX, Annex B countries. They are called Annex B countries, developed countries. So what is joint implementation, Andre? So if a country is not, if let's say there is developed country 1, developed country 2, right? So this, let's say developed country 1 cannot reduce the emissions. What they do, Andre, they will earn emission reduction units. Andre, developed country 2 only they will reduce the emissions, and that emissions will be sold to developed country 1 as emission reduction unit. So this is joint implementation. Joint implementation between 2 Annex B countries or 2 developed countries, right? So they are going to sell the emission reduction units between the developed countries, right? So what happens? This developed country 2 is going to sell that to the developed one country. They get money, foreign investment. So there will be kind of import and export in the carbon that is going to take place. That is the first mechanism. Also there will be technology transfer. So if developed country 1 is not able to reduce the emission, they are going to buy it from developed country to emission reduction units. Also in that effort, they might transfer technology also, technology for emission reduction. Why technology is important? Because see, you are running based on a coal fire power plant, you will shift to electric or hydropower power plant or hydrogen cell power plant or nuclear power plant, right? So there is a need for technology, new technology to reduce the emission. Reduce the emission, you need a new technology, that is technology transfer. That is the first mechanism is joint implementation. The second mechanism is clean development mechanism. Very important, CDM. What is clean development mechanism? So here what is one subtle difference andre, that let's say developed country one, he wants to reduce the emission, but they cannot do it in their own country, but they will, instead of in developed country, another developed country, they will do it in a developing country. So developed country is going to reduce the emissions in a developing country. That is the clean development mechanism, right? So by that what they get andre, they get certified emission reductions. Andre, let's say Germany, which is a developed country which has no scope for reducing the emission, what they do, they are going to implement a project in India. Let's say in India we have a coal power plant. So instead of coal power plant, Germany is going to invest in solar power plant, and they get what? They get certified emission reduction certificate, CER certificate, that they can use to justify their own claim. Andre Germany, see, we did not reduce, but we reduced it in India, which is a developing country. So in turn we got certified emission reduction certificate, right? So this is about clean development mechanism. So lot of these CDM projects are implemented in China and India. China and India are the hotspots for the CDM project implementation, right? Third is the third financial mechanism or market-based protocol is emission trading. What is emission trading? The name itself says that emission will be traded. Under this we have two mechanisms. One is carbon trading. So carbon trading. So emission trading is also called as carbon trading. So here we are going to exchange the emission permit. So I have a emission permit to emit this much of carbon dioxide. You have this much emission, you have a certificate to emit this much amount of carbon dioxide, but you want some more emission emitting capability. So what you will do? You are going to buy the emission certificate from me. Carbon trading will be, you are going to trade the carbon with me or buy the carbon emission from me, right? So that is the emission permit. One person who has the emission permit is going to sell it to other person so that he will use it towards meeting his own goal, right? So here under carbon trading we have two mechanisms. One is emission trading, another is offset trading. What is emission trading? Emission trading is also called as cap and trade. I have told you, cap and trade. Industry is given permission to emit 10 tons of carbon dioxide. It is going to cap it to 7 and sell the 3 ton. This is cap and trade mechanism, also called as emission trading, right? So this this takes place in carbon credit. Carbon credit andre 1 ton of carbon dioxide is equivalent to 1 carbon credit, right? So this takes place in the carbon credit via the mechanism of carbon credit. So what happens? A developed country, so Kyoto Protocol, since it is confined to developed countries are going to buy the emission certificates from the other countries. They are going to buy the emission certificate, right? So next is offset trading. Offset trading andre, instead of I have to reduce the carbon emission. What I'll do, instead of reducing it here, I am going to implement a renewable energy project or green energy project in some other country, that is offset trading, right? So offset trading, that is I might implement a wind energy mill, solar energy mill, right? Or geothermal energy plant might be started, which is going to reduce the carbon emission. So instead of reducing it in my own country, I am going to reduce it somewhere else and show that certificate as a carbon reduction certificate, right? That I have reduced the carbon. That is the concept of offset trading. It is also called as carbon project or baseline and credit trading. Baseline and credit trading. Okay. So what are the benefits of flexible market mechanism? How flexible market mechanism is going to benefit? It is going to help in green investment. See, these developing countries are getting lot of projects under clean development mechanism. So without Kyoto Protocol, the developing countries wouldn't have got these projects. So no clean development mechanism would have taken place without the Kyoto Protocol in the developing countries. So that is one benefit, and there is a benefit of green investment. Green investment is taking place, and also new technology is being transferred, right? New technologies to various countries is being transferred. All these are the benefits of the market mechanism, flexible market mechanism. So what happens? So this is all about the flexible market mechanism. So what happens if you do not adhere to the Kyoto Protocol? What are the penalties if you don't follow the Kyoto Protocol? What are the penalties? Andre, if a country do not meet the targets under the Kyoto Protocol, so what they cannot implement, they cannot use the joint implementation criteria. Joint implementation is developed country implementing a project in another, or buying a emission reduction unit from another developed country. That privilege they are going to lose if they do not follow the Kyoto Protocol. Joint implementation privilege they are going to lose. Also, if they have given a target of 5% reduction, they have to, if they have given, let's say 100 ton of reduction of carbon dioxide, if they fail to do it, they have to do additional 30%. If they fail to meet the target, additional 30% they have to reduce, right? Also, they are banned from the cap and trade mechanisms. So those countries which fail to adhere to Kyoto Protocol, they are banned from the cap and trade mechanism. So this is all with respect to the Kyoto Protocol, right? Kyoto Protocol, very, very important protocol, under which three things are important: the joint implementation mechanism, clean development mechanism, as well as the emission trading. Under emission trading, cap and trade, offset trading. So these five things are very, very important. Next, I'm going to talk. So basically from here, what I'm going to do, so from Bali Summit until the Glasgow Summit, I'm going to give a gist what all has happened in the climate summits every year. But see, I'm going to just give the highlights of each summit. So they might ask, Adaptation Fund was started in which summit, during which year? Or they might ask, Bali Summit took place during which year? Or what happened to during the Bali Summit? Or Green Climate Fund was started during which year, during which summit? So I'm going to give the gist of everything. So the first thing is Bali Meet. Bali Meet took place in 2007. 2007, there were 190 countries. 190 countries participated in it, right? So it aims to, so what was the aim? Aim is to reduce the greenhouse gases. So here, Bali Summit ali, what was the concern? Andre, the Kyoto Protocol. Kyoto Protocol was getting ended in the 2012. What happens after 2012 was discussed here, post 2012 scenario. Here what happened, the developed countries wanted countries like India also, that is developing countries also to be bought under the purview of Kyoto Protocol, but developing countries opposed it. Developing countries opposed it, right? Under the Bali Meet, one very important event took place, that is the Bali Roadmap. Bali Roadmap. So what is the Bali Roadmap? Bali Roadmap includes Bali Action Plan. So Bali Action Plan, and also the what is Bali Action Plan? Bali Roadmap ali Bali Action Plan is there. Where is Bali? Indonesia. So there the conference of parties take place in 2007. So what is Bali Action Plan? So Bali Action Plan ali so they aim to have a long-term goal for emission reduction. That is the first thing. Then they focus on mitigation of climate change, that is reduction of climate change. Then also they focus on adaptation, they focus on financing, they focus on technology, all those things. So what exactly happened under Bali Action Plan is not important, but you should know there was some Bali Action Plan in the 2007 summit. Then Bali Roadmap ali, first one is Bali Action Plan. Second is the Adaptation Fund. Adaptation Fund was launched in 2007. Very, very important. Adaptation Fund under Kyoto Protocol was launched. Then they focused on technology transfer. I have told you already what is technology transfer. You are having coal-fired power plant. Instead of that, you will start nuclear fire plant, but for that you need technology, that is technology transfer. And also the Bali Roadmap focused on emission reduction by deforestation. Deforestation in the whatever the emission that takes place, that has to be reduced. That was spoken about under the Bali Meet. So next I am going to talk about the Copenhagen Summit. When did this Copenhagen Summit happen? So it happened the very next year, that is in 2009. 2009 Copenhagen Summit. Where is Copenhagen? It is the capital of one of the European country. Which country? Copenhagen. Denmark alvenapa. Denmarks are also called as Danes. Who are Dutch? Dutch belong to which kind? Dutch came to India. Did they come to India? Right? So who are the people? Which country people are called as Dutch? I am going to give an example. Netherlands. Exactly. Netherlands. So how big is Netherlands? It is not even as big as our Kerala. Maybe half of Kerala. Very small country. Okay. So Copenhagen Summit happens in 2009. So under which we have a Copenhagen Accord. Copenhagen Accord, there is an agreement signed. So it is a non-binding agreement, Copenhagen Accord. Andre, you need not implement it per se. It is not legally binding. It is optional, right? So what does the accord say? Accord says that the present emission reduction is not sufficient. We need to have deep emission reductions. We need to have deep emission reductions. More emission reductions we need to have. That is one thing. So apart from that, the second commitment they do is to reduce the emissions by emission reduction target will be given by 2020. How much emission we are going to reduce, or how much the global climate global temperature will be stopped at. So that target we are going to give by 2020. That was also discussed upon, and also it focuses on this Copenhagen Summit talked about national strategies, andre individual nations what they are going to do with respect to climate change. That also they spoke about. They also spoke about the financial resources, how the countries will get finance to reduce climate change, that they focused upon. And also there is one agreement here in Copenhagen. Developed countries will give $30 billion to reduce climate change in the developing countries. that was discussed upon, and also the one more goal was given. So every year we will collect $100 billion by the year 2020. So that was also decided in the Copenhagen Summit. Every year $100 billion we will collect in order to reduce the climate change. That was also discussed upon. So this is about the Copenhagen Summit. Next, I am going to talk about the Cancun Summit. Where is Cancun? So this Cancun Summit happens in the year 2010. Cancun Summit happens in the year 2010. So where is Cancun Summit? Cancun. Cancun is in, even I did not know, I checked it. Cancun is in Mexico. So it happens in 2010. So what happens under Cancun Summit, Andre? Countries, see, earlier whatever the reduction they were doing, that was not cross-checked, right? In Cancun Summit, they agreed to report their reduction, how much we have reduced. They have agreed to report it to the international authorities. That is the change during the Cancun Summit. And not only reporting, that reported whatever the reduction that was reported, that will be cross-verified. So there are lot of agreements that took place in the Cancun Summit. What are the agreements, Andre? One is the countries are going to report their reduction. That is, in the greenhouse gas reduction will be reported, and the one is they are going to, every country will develop a carbon development plan, low carbon development plan. We will develop, but we are going to develop with a low carbon intensity. So every country will give a low carbon development plan. Also, they gave a registry of developing countries. What is this registry? So these developing countries need finance and technology to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. That was spoken about in the Cancun Summit. And also the $30 billion fast start finance was given. Andre, to reduce the climate change, the action has to be started now. So to start the action to reduce the climate change or greenhouse gases, so finance of $30 billion was given by the developed countries. This finance is called as fast start finance, was given under the Cancun Summit, right? So under this Cancun Summit, three things took place. So one is technology mechanism. Technology mechanism, Andre. So I told you, technology transfer. So that agreement took place under the Cancun Summit. And also in the Cancun Summit, Green Climate Fund was started. GCF, very, very important. Green Climate Fund was started in the Cancun Summit in the year 2010, right? So who manages this Green Climate Fund, Andre? It is managed by the GCF board. GCF board, Green Climate Fund board, and World Bank is the trustee for this fund. World Bank is the trustee, right? Okay. So then after this, the Cancun Summit, one more thing happens. So earlier during the Bali, they had agreed upon Adaptation Fund. That Adaptation Fund was actually established. Under the Cancun Summit. So what is Adaptation Fund, Andre? So to adapt to climate change. So developing countries, in order for them to get adjusted to climate change, adapted to climate change, this Adaptation Fund was started. So who governs this Adaptation Fund? Adaptation Fund is governed by Adaptation Fund Board. Adaptation Fund Board governs the Adaptation Fund, right? So how the money goes to Adaptation Fund, Andre? So under Clean Development Mechanism, 2% of the certified emission reductions, 2% of the money of the, so Clean Development Mechanism, Andre, what? Developed country starting a project in developing country. So they get what? In turn, they get CER certificate, clear, that is clean carbon emission reduction certificate. So 2% of that money will go to adaptation fund. Under adaptation fund, this was decided under the Cancun Summit, right? So who provides the secretariat to adaptation fund? Andre the secretariat, andre the office to adaptation fund is given by Global Environmental Facility. So this Global Environmental Facility, this is an organization which started in 1992, right? Global Environmental Facility was started in 1992, that provides the secretarial service, right? So next you have so this is all about the Cancun Summit. Next I am going to talk about the Durban Summit. Durban Summit. Durban, where is Durban? Which country? Which continent? Durban Summit. Durban is in South Africa. Durban is in South Africa, right? So India had specific demands when it went to the Durban Summit. What demands? One is by 2020 there should be a new global climate change deal. That is the one demand of India. And second is there should be a principle of equity. Andre equity means developing countries should be treated in a justified way, in a proper way. Andre they should be given leeway. Andre they should be given some chance to develop also. They should be not be imposed strict conditions. So these two things were the demands of India at the Durban Summit. Durban Summit it is a conference of parties 17. So what all happened in Durban Summit? What are the outcomes, Andre? So they agreed that New Deal is the Paris Climate Deal, that will be finalized by 2015 and implemented by 2020. That was agreed, and also they agreed for the second phase of Kyoto Protocol. Second phase of Kyoto Protocol from 2013 to 2020. First phase from 2005 to 2012, right? Second phase they agreed upon, and the Green Climate Fund, which was agreed upon during the Cancun Summit. That Green Climate Fund was launched, right? Then there are a lot of other mechanisms. So equity mechanism, adaptation mechanism, technology, transparency mechanism, everything comes under the Durban Summit. So here Durban Summit one new change andre agriculture was forcefully brought into the discussion by developed countries. Why agriculture? See, agriculturally, when they bring in agriculture, these Western countries, they can export lot of agricultural products to developing countries, right? Earlier, so these developing countries don't want agricultural imports because their own agriculture will suffer, right? So that was forcefully brought into the discussion by developed countries. So this is all about the Durban Summit, not very important. So Doha Summit is important. Doha Summit 2012, Durban Summit 2011, Doha Summit happens in 2012. So here they were going to reiterate the same thing, that we are going to have a new deal, new climate change deal by 2015, and they so what was agreed in Durban Summit, that new phase of Kyoto Protocol, that was actually signed here. The second phase of Kyoto Protocol was signed, right? So then they said that in the second phase of Kyoto Protocol, all the three mechanisms of Kyoto Protocol, that is joint implementation, clean development mechanism, and emission trading, these three things you should remember: joint implementation, CDM, and emission trading. These three things will continue even in the second phase of Kyoto Protocol, right? So then therefore they told under the Doha Summit that there will be biennial reports, that is 2 years once there will be emission reductions will be reported, right? So then whoever has achieved excess in the first Kyoto Protocol period, they are allowed to carry the achievement to the
second period as well under the Doha Summit, right? So here in Doha Summit, certain new development takes place. So one is a new development andre to technology and finance transfer. See, it is always about technology. Summits ali they have always spoken about the technology and finance, right? So developed countries need to give technology, they also need to give finance. So that was reiterated in the Doha Summit, and the Green Climate Fund, which was established in the Durban Summit, adradu who will host it andre the Green Climate Fund was hosted by is at Songdo, Republic of South Korea. Green Climate Fund is hosted at Songdo. This fact is very, very important. They are going to ask you where is Green Climate Fund hosted by his secretariat is, or where is Green Climate Fund hosted. It is at Songdo, Republic of South Korea. They might not ask Songdo, but they might say it is at South Korea, a question, right? Then under the Doha Summit, they said that there will be a climate technology center. In order to facilitate the technology transfer, there will be a climate technology center. That was also agreed under the Doha Summit. Then the next summit takes place in 2013 at Warsaw. Where is Warsaw? Which country? I'm going to give you 4 options. Poland, Norway, Sweden, Finland. Huh? Where is it? Norway? It is in Poland. So, right now, so how do you remember this andre? Warsaw. This was the first country invaded by Hitler during the Second World War. Poland. It was taken over by Hitler, right? Poland, the capital is Warsaw. So Warsaw outcome 2019. So 2013, there takes place the COP19. So here one agreement takes place. The agreement is nationally determined contributions. Andre, every country, INDC, I discussed the other day, what is India's INDC. So that nationally determined contributions will be, that concept starts here. Andre, every country, how much they are going to emit, how much emission they are going to reduce, how much the emissions or how much they are going to contribute to the greenhouse gas reduction. That contribution, that concept of the nationally determined contribution comes in the Warsaw outcomes, that is in COP 2013, right? So here one more incident takes place, that is closing the ambition gap. What is ambition gap? They say now we are aiming for a high ambition, that is we will stop the climate change to 1.5 degrees Celsius. But the present trend by which we are going, we will exceed the temperature by 3 or 4 degrees Celsius. So we have a gap of 2.5 degrees Celsius which we have to reduce. So that is what? That is the ambition gap. What we are aiming, our aim, and what is our condition now. This gap should be bridged. This gap should be bridged. That is the ambition gap bridging, right? So that is there. And also Warsaw, very important thing that takes place is RED, REDD plus. So Warsaw framework for RED. What is RED? I am going to discuss. So RED is all about reducing the deforestation. So deforestation accounts for 20% of global CO2 emissions, carbon dioxide emissions. So they aim to reduce this, and also under Warsaw they focus on accountability. Accountability andre every country should be answerable to how much emissions they have reduced. Accountability, and also they focus on the CTC, Climate Technology Center, establishment of the CTC was spoken about. The Climate Technology Center was spoken about then. So this is all about the Warsaw Summit. Then we have Lima, Peru, Lima outcome. Lima is in Peru, South America, right? So West Coast. So your El Nino, the warm waters which appear, they appear on the Peru coast. That is when the El Nino takes place in the, El Nino happens and there will be a variation in the Indian monsoon, right? So Lima outcome, what is Lima outcome? What happened in the Lima summit that took place in 2014 andre? First is Green Climate Fund get $10 billion they are going to put. $10 billion money was added to the Green Climate Fund, and also they agreed to include the climate change in school syllabus, school curricula, so that students will get to know about the gravity. So who is this young climate activist from Sweden, I think? That girl. Did she win Nobel? She did not win Nobel. Did she win Nobel Prize for Peace? Greta Thunberg. Which country she is from? Sweden. Greta Thunberg. They will ask. She is from Sweden. That girl. So, yeah, she has not won the... So, her name might be asked in the state level exams, but not at the UPSC level exams. So, that is one thing. And here, Lima Dali, what are the changes that took place? Andre, they focused on national adaptation plans. Andre, adaptation, we have started the Adaptation Fund in 2012 only, but nationally we should have adaptation plans. How we are going to adapt to climate change, that was spoken about in the Lima Summit. And also they focus on Lima Adaptation Knowledge Initiative. And the adaptation, and the adaptation means getting adjusted to climate change, right? So we have more temperature. What we will do, instead of reducing the temperature, we ourselves will start adapting. Instead of wearing thick clothes, we will start wearing thin clothes, or we will increase the ventilation of the buildings. All these things is getting adapted, adjusted, right? So adaptation ke we need knowledge. That knowledge initiative was spoken under the Lima Summit. And also they say this adaptation, see, until now the adaptation was confined to the developed countries. So in Lima Summit they focus on extending the adaptation to least developed countries. Least developed countries, there are around how many least developed countries are there in the world? So the World Bank is going to finance them. Least developed countries in the world. How many of them are there? 70? How many are there? Numbers. 46, sorry, 46 least developed countries in the world, right? So World Bank is going to support them. I have discussed it under the economy section, right? So that is one thing, and also they start a Nazca Climate Action Portal. Under Lima Summit, they start what is Nazca? There is a Nazca plate, right? What plate it is? Tectonic plate. I've discussed. So where is the Nazca plate? South America, Cocos plate, Nazca plate. So they start a new IT portal called Nazca Climate Action Portal in order to coordinate with respect to climate change. And also so here comes Lima Work Program on Gender. So they establish the connection between women and climate change. So if women position is bad, climate change is going to increase. Anta, they establish the connection, and they say that's why we should be more and more sensitive to the gender sensitive should be there anta they say. And also in the Lima summit they celebrate a day called NAMA Day. What is NAMA Day? Nationally Appropriate Mitigation Action Day. Andre every country should have their own mitigation measures. So in the Lima summit only they will give national adaptation plans also. What are the plans that the countries that they should have with respect to adapting to the climate change? Individual countries adaptation plan, and also they are going to give nationally appropriate mitigation actions. So basically from the international, the focus shifted to individual countries during the Lima summit. Also the focus shifted on gender angle of climate change, right? So NAMA-ದಲ್ಲಿ the developing countries are going to reduce the climate change, but the support will be given by the developed countries. That is what all about. So after Lima summit, the next big summit is your favorite, the Paris Climate Deal. Paris Climate Deal, Climate Summit 2015. So there they aim to reduce the global rise in temperature to 1.5 degrees Celsius. 1.5 degree Celsius. So actually it was 2 degrees Celsius. Later on they reduce it to by one more degree, 0.5 more degree. So average temperature rise will be confined within the 2 degrees Celsius. This was the target in the Paris Climate Deal. So also not only 2 degrees Celsius, it will be further enhanced to 1.5 degrees Celsius in coming time. The temperature rise will be limited to 1.5 degrees Celsius of the from what comparison? 1.5 degrees Celsius from the Industrial Revolution lane temperature ittu. We are going to confine the temperature to 1.5 degrees Celsius of that. That is what they say, right? So and also they focus on global peaking of emissions. So what is peaking of emission? Peaking. P-E-A-K, peaking of emission. Peaking means what? Reaching the highest level. So peaking if it is far dura, ivaginta late agadre ಒಳ್ಳೆದ, peaking ಬೇಗ ಆದ್ರೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆದ. If peaking happens sooner, is that good? Or if peaking happens later, is that good? What is good? If peaking happens sooner, it is good, because once you hit the peak, later on you won't be able to move above. From there you will always go down. So the sooner the peaking happens, that is better. So that peaking of emission they speak about under the Paris Climate Deal. So here they change the approach. So whatever was there in 2013 summit, that was re-energized, the nationally determined contribution. So every country have to report their nationally determined contributions anta they make it mandatory, right? So and here they agree that by 2018, in 2018 we will take a global stock take. Andre we are going to review how far we have traveled from the 2015. After 3 years we will review the climate change efforts anta they are going to make a promise, and this global stock take will take place every 5 years. So first we are going to review after 3 years. Later on global stock take. Global stock take andre how much reduction has taken place, how much greenhouse gas reduction has taken place, or what is the condition of temperature rise. That global stock take will take place every 5 years anta they say, right? So this, when was this Paris Agreement came into force? Date is 4th November 2016. Very, very important. So just like the UNFCCC, we have COPLA, Conference of Parties meeting. So for the Paris Climate Deal, we have there is one more meeting called Conference of the Parties, meeting of the parties to Paris Agreement. Meeting of the parties to Paris Agreement It is called CMA. The meeting, annual meetings under the Paris Agreement is called as CMA. That is the parties, a meeting of the parties to the Paris Agreement, CMA. So that first meeting took place in Marrakesh, Morocco in 2016. Andre 2015 ಅಲ್ಲಿ agreement sign ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. First CMA takes place in Marrakesh in the 1 year after the agreement, right? So this agreement has been signed till now by, so around 130 countries have signed, but actually what is printed in the book is 111 countries have signed. Andre 3/4 of the countries have signed. That is why this agreement has come into force. It is already into force, right? So, and also under this Paris climate deal, they have devised a Paris rule book. Paris rule book. What is Paris rule book? The procedures and mechanisms. By what procedure we are going to reduce the climate change? By what mechanism we are going to reduce the climate change? The procedures and mechanisms have been given under the Paris rule book, right? Then the next thing is, the next summit is Marrakesh Climate Change Summit, COP22, COP22 2016. So the summit happens in Marrakesh. So what happens in Marrakesh? So they agree on climate change, whatever the thing that is happening, we are going to publish report every 2 years anta they'll agree. So biennial reports we are going to give anta, right? They also focus on public interventions, andre to take the public along, public private partnership to reduce the emissions. So this was started during the Marrakesh Treaty, public private partnership, right? And also they focus on public finance, andre collect the finance from the public, common people, to fund the climate change, reduction of climate change. That was also started during the Marrakesh Treaty, right? So that is one thing. Then here under Marrakesh Treaty, one thing is very, very important: orphan issues. Orphan issues. What is the meaning of orphan? Adaptala, anatha. Orphan means anatha. So those issues which are not focused upon by anyone, those issues are, so but those issues which are not focused by anyone but they are relevant to climate change, those issues are also talked about under the orphan issue clause of the Marrakesh Treaty. Marrakesh Treaty orphan issues, they are going to talk about it, right? So these orphan issues also need finance. That is what they agree under the orphan issues. Then here they say Adaptation Fund. So they talk about the Adaptation Fund. Adaptation Fund was for Kyoto Protocol. So the same Adaptation Fund, should it be used for Paris climate deal, or there should be a separate Adaptation Fund? Here what happens? The developed countries want a separate Adaptation Fund because they'll get money under that Adaptation Fund also, that Adaptation Fund also, right? So that is one thing. And so here so this is about Adaptation Fund issue. And also the one more issue under the Marrakesh Summit is mid-century strategies. Andre by 2020 what should be the climate of the world? So for achieving that climate, what should be the strategy? Andre what should be the long-term greenhouse gas emission trend, right? So that they talk about. So to have a long-term greenhouse gas plan, we need to have more and more reduction. So this mid-century strategies so very few states sign. Canada, Germany, Mexico and United States, they become parties to the mid-century strategy. Not everybody, only 4 countries, right? Not very important, but please know India is not a part of mid-century strategies, right? So, and they launch with respect to mid-century strategy, they launch a platform called 2050 pathway platform. Andre, by 2050, what should be the climate, right? So they start a platform for that called 2050 pathway platform, right? So then finance issue under the Marrakesh Summit. So what is the finance issue? The developed countries should give $100 billion a year. Anta, they are going to decide under this summit. So by public finance and private finance, the developed countries should give $100 billion per year. That is what they decide under this, right? So also they increase the funding for Climate Technology Center. 2012 summit ali they agree for this Climate Technology Center. For that they increase the money, and they focus on what? They focus on capacity building and transparency. Andre, to reduce the greenhouse gases, the countries need capacity, various capacity, financial, technological, human resource, that they focus upon. So this is all about the Marrakesh climate change conference. But the last issue under this is loss and damage. This is very important. So Warsaw International Mechanism for Loss and Damage. So this loss and damage clause comes under the Marrakesh conference, but this is signed in Warsaw, Poland. That is Warsaw International Mechanism for Loss and Damage. Means what? Because of climate change, right? Because of global warming, there is lot of floods, lot of droughts. So there is lot of loss and damage that is happening for humans also, for environment also. So to reduce that, there is a Warsaw International Mechanism, international collaboration among the countries on loss and damage, right? So this was started, this was spoken about under the under the Marrakesh conference. Warsaw clause on loss and damage, they are going to ask you in your exams. They have asked it once in UPSC exam as well, right? So what all they discuss under this loss and damage, Andre? The floods, extreme, also all those things they are going to discuss under this. Then 2017 summit, Bonn Climate Change Conference. Bonn, I told you, where is it? Bonn, Bonn. I told you at the beginning of the class. Germany, right? So though the conference, the speciality of this conference is, though the conference took place in Bonn, it was headed by Fiji. Fiji, I told you, Pacific nation, right? So what are the outcomes of the Bonn challenge, Andre? So certain funny terms are here. Coronivia, joint work on agriculture. So agriculture in the, what will be the impact on climate change? So for that there is a clause called Coronivia, joint work on agriculture, right? That agreement was signed under the Bonn Climate Change Conference, right? So agriculture has to adapt to climate change, or agriculture need to reinvent itself to get adjusted to the climate change. That was decided here. And also, so why agriculture should get adjusted, Andre? In order to reduce the emission, in order to increase the food security, in order to address issues like soil degradation and all those things. So that is one thing. Agriculture under the issue under the Bonn thing. And the second issue under the Bonn thing is powering past coal alliance. Powering past coal alliance. What do you mean by powering past coal alliance? Powering past coal alliance means, so we are using the coal energy. So today, now there is a issue in India going on. So there is not sufficient coal in our power plants. So recent current affairs, daily current affairs. So the opposition is fighting with the government So lot of coal power plants are shutting down because of no coal is available. But India is the second largest or third largest producer of coal. It is one of the largest producer of coal in the world. But why there is no coal? Largest producer of coal in the world. China. China is the largest producer of coal. India is the second largest producer of coal in the world. But why India being a second largest producer, why coal shortage? What is the reason? See, the primary reason is India's coal is an inferior coal. It is not good quality coal. So the anthracite and bituminous coal antaralla, those are good quality coal. That we have to, that is coking coal. All those coals we have to import from other countries, right? Whereas India's coal is inferior. So that is one thing, and the other thing is might be because of there is not sufficient mining. Maybe there might be some insufficient mining that is taking place. So there is major mineral MMRDA Act anta ide. Major Mineral Development Act anta, under which the coal auctioning takes place. Maybe there might be some issue with respect to that, but we have to look into the issue why there is coal shortage, right? So under bond they focus on rapid phase out of coal. But do you know that Germany is completely built on green energy? They are not using any coal, or they are not using even the nuclear energy. They are focusing exclusively on green energy. So important fact for you, Germany, no fossil fuel based energy, completely green energy, right? Germany is the harbinger, or it is the top country when it comes to green energy in Europe, right? So powering past coal alliance, they focus on moving away from coal, right? Moving away from coal by 2030, they focus on moving away from coal. So this is, though this action, this takes place, this summit takes place in Bonn. I told you it is headed by the Fiji, right? So what are the outcomes of this? We have a gender action plan. Gender action plan, that is the role of women in climate change. Women are increasing the climate change or decreasing the climate change, right? So women have an impact on climate change. That gender action plan was discussed under the Bonn thing, and also they focused on involving the local communities and indigenous people. Local people, how they are going to involve. And there is one more thing called Ocean Pathway Partnership. Andre, how to protect the oceans, right? How oceans can be tapped to reduce climate change. Ocean Pathway Partnership was also discussed under the Bonn Conference. So when it comes to Bonn Conference, please remember this thing called Talanoa Dialogue. TALANOA Dialogue. So Talanoa Dialogue anta one question kelidru actually in one of the exams. What is Talanoa Dialogue andre? It is a Fiji term. Fiji term in Bonn Conference. Bonn Conference 2017. What is Talanoa Dialogue? It focuses on inclusive, participatory and transparent dialogue. It is a dialogue mechanism, talking mechanism. Talking among whom? Among the countries. Talking with respect to inclusivity. All sections of the society should be included. That is one thing. And participatory. Everyone should participate, and transparent. It should not be opaque, it should be open for all, right? There should not be any dirty games in that. So that is the Talanoa Dialogue, right? So what they focus upon is to increase the nationally determined contribution. India might say we will reduce by 1 billion ton. So please increase it to 1.5 billion ton. That is what the Talanoa Dialogue focuses on, right? So that is about the Talano dialogue. Then we have Insu Resilience Global Partnership. This also Insu, INSU. This also, please write down the name because this is recent, 2017. Insu Resilience Global Partnership. So what is this Insu Resilience Global Partnership? Andre? See, because of climate change, there is lot of disaster that taking place, natural disasters. So in order to reduce the disasters, we need money, we need insurance, right? That is taken care under Insu. Insu means what? Insurance. Insurance Resilience Global Partnership to give insurance to climate change and its related disasters. So it brings V20 countries. So V20 countries andre not Virat Kohli 20. V20 means 49 most vulnerable countries to climate change. 49 vulnerable countries they bring together, right? So it focuses on what? It focuses on reducing the natural disaster because of climate change, and also it focuses on improving the livelihood and reducing the poverty. It focuses upon. So how does it do that? See, because of disaster, many people will be pushed into poverty. So in order to counteract that, we have insurance. Insurance will be given. So who buys this insurance? I strongly feel it is the government which should buy this insurance, not the people themselves. Then the COP24. COP24 takes place in Katowice. Where is Katowice? I'm going to ask you again. It is in the same country where Warsaw is. Poland. Katowice, there is a conference which takes place in 2018, not very important. Next is the Madrid Summit or COP25 2019, recent one. So recent one. COP25 2019, it takes place in Madrid. Where is Madrid? Football nodalva. Where is Madrid? Madrid is in Spain. It is the capital of Spain, alvenappa. So what is the capital of Portugal? See, I wonder these small kids, 1 or 2 year kids, they know the capitals of all the countries. They win Guinness World Record also. At that time, I was playing with mud in my native. So, Portugal capital is Lisbon. These questions they won't ask in the central service exams, but state service, high probability. That especially with the FDA, SDA exams, constable exams, right? So, this Madrid, Spain. So, here also this summit is also special, just like the Bonn summit. What is a Bonn conference? What is the speciality? Andre, though it takes place in Madrid, the presidency was held by Chile. Where is Chile? Which continent? It is next to Argentina. Where is Argentina? Which continent? Where is Brazil? South America, alva. So it is in South America. Chile, are you sleeping? Right? So this happens in the, so alli Chile li eno galate agirutte. So they shift the summit to Madrid in COP25. So COP25, what they do andre, they give a rule book on Paris agreement. They give a proper rule book how we are going to implement the Paris agreement, and they are going to give a proper rule book, right? So here not much progress takes place. So, but they agree on finance and other things. So, what is the major outcome of this Madrid conference? Andre, they agree on double counting. So, double counting, I told you. Yenate double counting say a joint implementation alli one country is going to invest in another country, right? Here they reduce the emission by, let's say, 10 ton emission allow madidre, they emit just 8 ton, they reduce it by 2 ton, right? 2 ton they sell to this country. So, yen martare illi this country, they have emitted already 10 ton. I mean, they have emitted 12 ton in place of 10 ton, they adjust the 2 tons here. So what happens? This country will also count this 2 ton. This country will also count this 2 ton. This is double counting. Did they actually reduce 4 ton? No. Actually 2 ton they are reducing at 2 places. So this the double counting should not be there anta. They agree under the COP25, that is under Madrid, and also they launch a 5-year gender action plan. Fiji, what they launch, similarly here also they launch a 5-year gender action plan. So climate is becoming more and more towards gender rather than climate, right? So then they start a climate ambition alliance. Climate ambition alliance. So what is this alliance, Andre? To reduce, to go net zero emission by 2050. What is net zero? That is, it is not zero emission. Does it mean we will not ride the bikes at all? Net zero emission andre, whatever we are emitting will be captured. So overall balance will be zero, net zero. So they aim to, so what is India's target? 20 Panchamrita, 2070. Whereas under this net zero alliance, they are the climate ambition alliance. They aim to go net zero by 2050 only. In another 38 years, they want to, in another 28 years, they want to go for net zero carbon emissions, right? So even the European Union also agreed to go carbon neutral or net zero by 2050. So till now I have discussed all the gist of all the summits, climate summits. Tomorrow I am going to discuss the financing mechanisms. So various funds, Special Climate Change Fund, Global Environmental Facility, RED, IPCC, and various other concepts I am going to discuss because all of them are important, and we will next move towards focusing on agriculture. Agriculture, what are the different things, what is the relationship between agriculture and the environment, we will discuss, right? So any doubts, so any feedback, please reach us out in the comment section or via the Telegram channel VHS Education Forum. So please take good care of your health and please make good use of the classes, both veterans and freshers. We'll meet again in the next class. Until then, Jai Hind, Namaste.